Hey guys, Miranda's here. Today we're going to be talking about the Sid Advent dungeon here. Look at the party info real quick. Leafa's really good for this dungeon. Hybrid damage tank is able to take some load off of Electra, or can even be your soul tank. With some combinations you need some high DPS for that, so it's not exactly recommended, but good character for this dungeon. Rue doubles your recovery amount, also takes away the debuffs, which is really important in this dungeon. You get a bunch of mental seal type debuffs. Darkness Devours, and she's really important for removing that. Surdic, not so important. I'd say pass on him unless you don't have Leafa in your party. You can't take Rue, which kind of sucks because she would normally be a pretty good healer for this. And so we'll jump into what I've got for a team. So I've got a 6-star Morgan, using my Rue and my Electra. I tried to build it for as little counter strike as possible, since when you get the Darkness Devours debuff, you don't want to counter strike because that will take away half your health. I just have Ruby here as a filler DPS. Normally you'd put Leafa, but you could also put Christian, because he's really good against the snake in phase 2. You could put a neutral DPS like Ashley in, but you'll probably see my Ruby die pretty early and often, so I personally take a second Rue. Just want to make sure has enough health, has some recovery. Good here. Go ahead and take that one. Actually, I think, yeah, this one's actually a little bit better here, so I'm going to take that one. Well, going. The first wave of this dungeon is 3 spiders. Sid will come in and give you a warning, but he'll also give you a buff. That buff will make you immune to debuffs for 5 turns, so you don't have to worry about the mental seal that's going to happen for 5 turns, and then it starts to kick in. You can see the buff up here. These spiders have a considerable amount of health. I try to focus on just one the first turn, so they don't all beat up my Morgan at the same time, even though they're kind of doing that right now. As soon as my Electra goes, she should be able to pull a couple of them off of her. And so I have my team set up in this way just because I want to be able to make sure that Morgan can get heals. So I've kind of bridged the gap with Rue, who is really tanky. I really don't have to worry about her dying most of the time, and if she does, she has resolve. I have to be pretty careless to let her die, or really late in the 3rd phase, and but we'll get to that when we get there. So since it's early enough and I'm not too worried about my cooldowns, I'm going to bring Ruby back. Typically in other stages I'd just leave her dead, because she doesn't actually contribute that much on my team to the overall damage, and she's just kind of filler anyway. Since she's not very enhanced, she dies pretty easy, honestly, as you just saw. So go ahead and heal again, keep my Morgan high. The other nice thing about Rue's heal is, as you can see, it has the debuff immunity tied to it. So with 2 Rues rotating heals, you can keep that debuff immunity up for a little bit of time. The other debuffs that these spiders put on during this phase is reduced healing and reduced defense. They don't really have any buffs, so you can't heal off of Ruse 1, but still does some decent damage, so we're going to use it. Alright, the second phase, we're going to have 1 spider on each side and the snake in the middle. Spiders do the same thing as they did in the first time. The snake in the middle has a stacking buff, You can kind of see it on that. Oops, shoot, that's not good. You can kind of see it on his second page. Stacking buff right here. When it hits 6 buffs, he's going to get big and start doing a lot of damage. He does a fair amount of damage, and I didn't really want my Morgan to be hitting him because he'll hit her back. But it looks like he's not interested, so I'm okay with that. In this second phase, you'll start to get the skull debuff, which we've seen in other Advent dungeons. Turns recovery into damage, although it's not like a 1-to-1. It's not if you recover for 80% of her health, you take 80% damage. It actually seems to be flat damage that you take, which is good. And obviously Morgan's Berserker buff kind of hurts her a little bit in here, as well as the counter strike my Rue just countered and burnt through her resolve. So normally, I don't let my Morgan attack the snake in the middle so early, so she doesn't get clobbered like that. But we'll see if we can recover here. Here we go. Here's a heal. And I still have one more churn before I can bring Morgan up with this Rue. The other Rue had it. And that's what happens when the snake gets to 6 stacks. Really big, starts to do a lot of damage. I'm trying to kill off the little spider here. And unfortunately, my Electra died, resets her threat, so I'm not sure who the big snake will be on at this point. But I popped her shield so that she could heal off her passive there. He does have this buff you can't remove that makes him immune to debuffs. I believe this one right here. Also this one. Oh, actually no, increases. Yeah. So he has a couple buffs that can't be removed. So even though they can't be removed when Rue's debuff removal would proc, she still heals. So it's still nice. I just try not to use it early because I don't want her to give too many stacks to the snake early. Keep DPSing. So this part you can take it a little bit easier. He is pretty consistent. I believe he does 2 attacks, and then every 3rd attack or so, he does his AoE, which has a chance of giving everyone Darkness Devours debuff. Which is pretty unfriendly. So I'm just going to make sure my Morgan doesn't take threat early here. Although I didn't really have a choice. She got hit by Darkness Devours and defend. Going to be okay using a heal here. Make sure Electra stays somewhat topped off just in case she does counter with a Darkness Devourer stack. And just hope my Morgan gets healed from the removal of this debuff here with Sid. You can't actually remove it, but like I said, when she tries to remove it, he's immune to all debuffs, so you can't taunt him, reduce his attack, do any of that. Gotta put the shield up just because I don't want my Morgan to die. And she got a heal from Ruse 1 there, so... Although she just counterattacked. Messed that all up. So he still should be hitting Electra. I should be fine. Nope, I guess he's not. I'm going to res early and kind of let the cooldown come back before I DPS him over this phase. As soon as you DPS him over this phase, he tries to help you and summons a shadow, which you have to fight instead. We'll get there soon. Or Morgan can just keep killing herself. Okay, that's nice. She got protected from Electra. Just gonna top her off here. And yeah, just take this slowly while they get their cooldowns back. I think that's the third or fourth time she's counter-striked, and she only has the base counter-strike chance. Good thing the debuff didn't apply, though. So there's only 2 turns left here. And 3 turns left here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and push him over after... Go ahead and push him over right here. So as soon as he comes out, he'll res someone that's down. He'll heal them otherwise. We can't hit Sid anymore. He's actually helping us now. He'll throw some heals, which, if we have the poison debuff, actually hurts us. So take it for what it is, I guess. And then Shadow Sid. This is the only one we need to be focusing. If we kill any of the other ones, the boss fight does not end. So just make sure you focus the primary. The first shadow that pops up, he'll always have the stack of the buffs here. And the Shadow Sids can do all the things that the normal Sids can do, including the Darkness Devoured debuff, which I'm getting really unlucky with this run. It's going to draw out this run a little bit. But he'll keep summoning until we get 4 of these guys. I'm going to try to hit them with the Electra AoE to make sure that they stick to Electra. Don't shoot other people, give them the poison debuff. It's much easier to manage if it's only on one person. And I'm going to go ahead and res Morgan here and try to do as much damage as possible. I got the protection, which is nice. I don't need to worry about Darkness Devours for this turn. And so, gotta make sure we heal Electra here, or she's gonna die, and we will have to res her. Just gonna make sure that my Rude is immune to debuffs. That way she can get a res off next turn without being interrupted. Okay. I'm actually going to kill one of these shadows to reduce the amount of turns they have. Resurrect Electra, throw up the shield. And go ahead and defend here. So only one of the debuffs got removed, which was the Darkness Devours. The other one did not, which kind of sucks. I was hoping that I did not get hit by another AoE, but if I'm hoping for it not to happen, it probably will happen. As you can see, these shadows have a lot less health than he does. I have one more churn on my friend Rue before I can bring up my Morrigan. And I'm just thinning out the clones a little bit, just so I don't have to wait so long between churns, and he has to waste a churn summoning. So luckily I had the immunity on my Faru. I can bring my Morgan up here. I should be able to take him pretty close. See if I can get a heal here. No, that's the end of the fight. So you can extend this for a while. The keys are to make sure you don't hit the other clones so that Electra can get threat. And then to make sure that you heal Electra every once in a while. The debuff immunity does not stop her from getting poisoned, but it will stop her from getting the darkness within, so you can kind of rotate that along with whoever else you need, if it's Ruby, if it's the Rue, to prevent the debuff so that they can act in the following turns. This was a 14-minute clear, which is pretty slow. Typically, I'm closer to 9 minutes, but this can happen. Hopefully this helps and shows you a little bit more of how to recover if your run is not going so well. The Morrigan countering 3 times and killing herself multiple times typically does not happen, and so she gets a lot more DPS done than you saw there. Anyway, happy clearing.